Hello, friends. Have you ever wondered what it is like to work with a business coach? Or have you ever wondered if you're already working with a business coach, how they know exactly what to ask you to get straight to the root of all of your challenges? I know I have wondered this. It's like I always say, like, we get right to the heart of the matter. So today, I'm pulling back the curtain, giving you a behind the scenes sneak peek, revealing the 7 questions that business coaches like myself use to help clients uncover hidden roadblocks and unlock their full potential. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you're ready to dive deep and discover new ways to grow your business and yourself. We are so excited that you're here. So, hello, my name is Tracey Watts Cirino. I am the host of Beyond Common Business Secrets, where we dig in and share those hidden gems and secrets that, not everyone talks about in the business world, because sometimes we think it is, oh, that we need another marketing strategy, or that we need to hire someone different, or it's just this like tactical thing. Oftentimes it's the things under the surface. And that's why today's show is so important, because the thing is that oftentimes when you're working with a coach, you might wonder, like, how did they get to the heart of the matter like that? Or if you are like somebody that's been considering working with a coach and you're unsure if it's the right thing for you, this is going to really help you dig in a little deeper. Because here's the thing, coaching is not about giving you the answers, because the answers are already within you, right? It's already within you. We are working to reveal the best version of yourself. Your business, your life goals are based on what's best for you and what your version of success looks like, not what some guru says. Like, I'm never trying to push my ideals and what I want for my business onto my clients. I'm creating space in this beautiful supportive container that allows them to bring all of their vision ideas, all the great things that make each of my clients uniquely them. That's what we're doing, right? Like, it's like a sacred relationship. We create like more of a sacred space for this. So here's the thing. When I say that coaching isn't about giving you the answers, it's about asking the right questions to help you find the clarity so that you take aligned action towards what's best for you. And oftentimes we get in our own head and lie to ourselves about stuff. That's why it is such a beautiful thing to work with a trusted coach, consultant, or mentor. So whether you're struggling with the strategy, the mindset, the growth, um, or sometimes it's even like emotional triggers, things that come up. And I always say this takes us back to like mindset stuff. These will be like the 7 questions that can transform the way you approach your business. So, you ready? Let's jump in. So, the 7 key questions. What's your ultimate version for your business? Like, what's that ultimate vision for what you want your business to look like? This is where we start. I always start here because clarity is everything. The more you talk about it and really describe what your vision looks like, that is going to help like be like your North Star. So if you don't know where you're going, how do you think that we can create a strategy? How do you think that any one of the millions of different marketing strategies are going to work for you if you are still fuzzy about where you're going, right? Like, we can't get in our car and punch into our GPS that I want to go somewhere good. Like, Let me go where it's successful. That's very vague, right? Like what, paint me a picture. And so we'll dive even deeper into these types of vision questions. Like these are really important to answer. And the more that you fine tune and refine this, like the more fun and juicy it gets. So, if you don't know where you're going, how can you create a strategy to get there? So, I will ask my clients to think big. Like, what does success look and feel like for you? Right? It's not just one, it's and. So, what does it look like and feel like for you? Um, Take a moment to visualize your ideal day as a business owner. What are you doing? Right? Like what are the daily activities that you're doing? Who are you serving? What are you up to? Who surrounded you? Who's like in your circle? What do you have going? Like sometimes it's like visualize what it looks like on your calendar. How does it feel? Take a moment and write all of this down. This is your North Star. So, number two, what's currently working well? We will often dive into what is working well because oftentimes when I first start working with clients, they maybe have worked with a coach in the past and they want to focus on all the problems, and that we are absolutely going to do that. But I like to come at it through the lens of let's acknowledge and celebrate what's really working. Because oftentimes there's like these little areas where we can just take one little jump forward. This really helps you acknowledge where you're already doing a great job and where we can find some leverage that will build momentum. So it's really important that we're always looking to what's going great. This question, when I ask this of clients, it often shifts their mindset and helps identify the strengths that we can build on. Like it's so important. So maybe in your business, your client relationships are absolutely thriving. Or maybe your social media presence is so strong. Maybe you are like, oh, wow, I just started doing this a little bit ago. And now I'm like on my way to being like an influencer along with my business. Like, who knows? Let's just focus and amplify those wins because there are so many parts of business that are hard. We don't need to make it any harder, right? We don't need to make it any harder. We don't believe that it has to be hard, for us to be successful. We want to like really focus on where our wins are so we can absolutely amplify them. So, number three, what feels like your biggest challenge right now? This question will help us narrow down the areas that need immediate attention, right? Like we want to just kind of laser beam focus in. Notice how I said feels like, right? This invites more honesty and brings through like the emotions, which are usually keys to uncovering what the real issues are. So, this is a very strategic question, and it is one that people are like, wow, that's good. So, challenges are often hiding right in plain sight. So when we frame it like this, what feels like your biggest challenge right now is very different, right? So a really good coach will listen not just to what you say, but how you say it, because the real places for the most growth are usually just hidden right in plain sight or hidden right under the surface. Number four, what are you avoiding in your business? That's right. Write that one down. It's super important. This one is an absolute game changer. I ask myself this question all the time. Avoidance is a major, major clue. It's often where fear or limiting beliefs are holding us back. And even if you don't call them limiting beliefs, they can be things that are happening in your subconscious. This is just like some area where you might be unaware that, you're lying to yourself a little bit. And when you ask, like, what are you avoiding in your business? People are really will take a step back, like, wow, I didn't even realize that. But when we realize that maybe you were avoiding raising your prices because that maybe is an area of worthiness that you haven't worked on yet. And if we can help you work on embodying that you're already worthy and what that feels like to be worthy of the price you're about to command, we can squash that. So, or maybe you're avoiding making the sales calls that you need to make. Or maybe you're avoiding putting yourself out there and doing like your first live video on social media. Or it could be that you're really avoiding addressing a difficult team member. Or maybe there is a team dynamic that is going off the rails. So facing these areas can lead to your ultimate breakthroughs. So the more that we shine the light on what we might be avoiding, it can it can feel like a big problem now, but I promise you, it's so much smaller and minute than that when you deal with it now, rather than keep avoiding it and waiting. So number 5, who do you need to become to reach your goals? So success isn't just about what you do. It's about who you become, right? It's this journey. It's not this destination. And so often, um, you know, this question will help you identify the habits, the mindsets, maybe even the daily rituals, and even will help you develop the relationships, hire the right coaches and mentors that really help you get this much needed shift so you can realign your goals. So when I ask like who do you who do you need to become to reach your goals? This is actually one of those things, again, it's under the surface. You're already this amazing being. However, we often are putting layers of ourselves that are not true with stories we might have been telling ourselves culturally. Um, it could be just like in your generational dynamic of your family. I know oftentimes it's like, women, we still kind of uh, think that we're not allowed to be loud and say exactly what we want. Like that's too aggressive or too pushy or too bossy. There are things that are stories that just because someone said it, it doesn't make it true. So this helps remove some of that because you already are everything you need to be. We're just bringing that part of you to the surface. And that is the magic of working with a really good coach that knows how to just reveal your best self. Like you're already there. It's just really great to have this relationship that helps you bring more of who you really are to the surface. So, example, like if an example of this one is if you want to be a really confident leader that is absolutely comfortable asking for the like commanding the price that you charge and asking for the type of clients that you want to serve. What's stopping you from stepping into this identity today? This is something that when I ask that question, who do you need to become to reach your goals? That is an area that we dig into and I can really help with. Because you are already worthy of commanding a price that is thousands and thousands of dollars more than you might be getting now. And the more that we create space for you to step into that, the more all of this lines up for you. So, number 6, what does success feel like to you? Because we're not chasing after um, what someone else's version of success is, or what my version of success is. Irrelevant. It's not about me, it's about you. You are my client. And when I'm coaching you, that's what's most important. I want you to notice that I did not what I said. Like, I want you to notice that I said, feel. What does success feel like to you? Not what does it look like? What does it feel like? When we're clear about what it feels like, this helps connect your goals and your emotions. When your goals, emotions, and values come together, This makes them more meaningful and motivating. This is not about chasing some new strategy that some guru told you. This is like, what does success really feel like for you? Like, how does it feel in your body? How do you wake up every day? What do you put on? What kind of conversations are you having? What kind of friends and relationships are supporting you? What kind of clients are you serving? So I want you to think beyond money and metrics. And does success feel like more freedom? Does it feel like you have more time to do more things that bring you joy? Does it feel like you're making a bigger impact? Does it feel like you have a little bit extra left over every month? A little bit extra. Define it for yourself. So then, number 7, what's the one thing you could focus on right now that would create the biggest impact? So this question brings everything together. Like, I take you on this journey where we go expansive, but this question brings everything together. It just cuts right through the noise. It helps us get rid of all that mind chatter, and it will help you prioritize the actions that truly matter. So my pro tip as a business coach is that we want to look for the 20% effort that will give you 80% results. So often, and myself included, I did this a lot in the beginning of getting started in business, is that we think we just have to be busy. But when we look for the 20% effort that is going to deliver an 80% result, this is your power move. And this is how we get to the heart of the matter. This is why I love working with female business owners and entrepreneurs so much. So these are like very powerful questions. These are powerful tools for clarity and for action. And if you would like even more help getting clarity, I have a 7 layers deep clarity tool that is my free gift to you that takes you on a dive to ask even more questions. So I will put that in the show notes, but now it's your turn. Take any one of these questions and spend some time journaling or reflecting on it. You might be surprised on what you uncover and what pops up for you. So let me know in the comments which question resonated with you most. And if you would add a question, put that in the comments too. And if you're ready to go deeper, I strongly encourage you to book a clarity session with me. I'd love to help take you and your business to the next level, because you were not born to be average. You were not born to be mediocre. This life was given to you to focus in on your zone of genius and make the greatest impact that you were born to do. So don't forget to like and subscribe to our show. We love having you here on Beyond Common Business Secrets. And remember, the best answers come from asking the right questions. So when you are in a relationship with a coach or mentor that puts your growth, your expansion ahead of their own, of their own stuff, that's who you want to be working with. They will always know what are the best questions to ask. So keep challenging yourself, keep growing, keep expanding, and know that you already are beyond common. And I will see you on the next one. Stay amazing. And as always, I hope you are having the most beyond amazing day.